Tonight, I want to tell you about the most remarkable little fox in the whole wide world. She lives in the Sahara Desert, one of the biggest, most golden, most star-filled places on Earth, and her name is Fenekie. Now, you might be wondering, how small is Fenekie exactly? Well, she weighs about 1.5 kilograms. That's around 3.3 pounds. Do you know what else weighs about that much? A house cat. Fenekie the fox is smaller than a cat. But don't let that fool you for even a single second, because this tiny little fox has a secret superpower that makes her one of the greatest desert explorers who has ever lived. Are you ready to find out what it is? Look at her ears. Fennekie's ears are 15 centimeters tall. That's 6 inches. On her tiny little body, they look enormous, like 2 slices of pizza balanced on top of her head. And when she points them forward, she can hear things that no human could ever hear. She can hear a mouse moving behind a sand dune 3 dunes away. She can hear a beetle crawling through the soil underground. She has built-in sound amplifiers inside her skull, designed by millions of years of evolution to make her the greatest listener in the desert. We call her superpower supersonic radar ears. And those same magnificent ears, those pizza slice radar dishes, do something else extraordinary. The Sahara Desert during the day gets up to 50 degrees Celsius. That's 120 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to fry an egg on the sand. But Fenekie has hundreds of tiny blood vessels woven through the skin of her ears. When she's too warm, blood flows through them, releases heat into the air, and she cools right down, like her own personal air conditioner built right in. 1 pair of ears, 2 superpowers. Our Fenekie is extraordinary. Now, let me tell you about a night in the Sahara. The sun has set, the sky is the deepest, most beautiful dark blue you can imagine, and it is absolutely filled with stars. And from a small hole in the side of a sand dune, 2 enormous ears appear. Then a little nose, 2 bright amber eyes, and out pops Fenekie, stretching and yawning and shaking the sleep from her golden fur. Desert time! Fennec foxes are night explorers. While we're sleeping warm in our beds, they're just starting their day, or their night, I suppose. The cool darkness is the best time for hunting, for running, for going on adventures. Fenekie pressed her big ears forward and took a long, slow, deep listen. The desert whispered back to her. Rustling sand, a distant bird, the wind over the dunes. And then, something else. Something underground. Thump, thump, thump. A cricket crawling through the soil below her paws. Fenekie could hear it as clearly as you can hear your name being called from the next room. She crouched low. She tilted her head. She listened with absolute perfect concentration. And then she dug. Fennekie's paws were covered with thick fur on the soles, like wearing built-in desert boots, so the sand didn't burn her even when it was scorching hot. And she dug fast. Found you! The biggest, juiciest cricket she'd seen all week. She cached half of it, buried it carefully for later because Fennec foxes always plan ahead, and ate the rest with great satisfaction. Fenekie licked her paws and was just thinking about where to explore next when her ears swiveled, both of them, fast. Far, far away, miles and miles across the dark desert, she heard a deep, low, growing sound. Whoosh. Sandstorm. She heard it forming before it was even close. A wall of sand, tall as a mountain, was building on the horizon, and she had to warn her family. Time to run! Fennec foxes are amazing jumpers. Fenekie could leap 60 centimeters, that's 2 feet, straight up into the air, and bound 120 centimeters, 4 feet, across the sand in a single leap. Her sandy fur blended perfectly with the dunes as she ran, like a little golden flash in the moonlight. She raced across 3 dunes, down a slope, around a cluster of desert plants, and arrived at home. Home was something very special. Under the desert sand, Fenekie's family had built an underground city. Their burrow stretched 120 square meters. That's about 1,290 square feet, about the size of a small apartment, with 15 different entrances. There were sleeping chambers, gathering rooms, storage spots for cached food, and tunnels that connected everything together like streets. Everyone inside! Storm coming! I heard it! Everyone inside now! Her family, mother, father, brothers, sisters, and grandmother all came tumbling in through the various entrances. Fenekie's family could have up to 10 or even 15 members, and every single one of them trusted Fenekie's ears. Grandmother Fox curled up beside Fenekie and pressed her soft nose to Fenekie's cheek. Good ears save lives, little one. Above them, the sandstorm roared and howled. Below, Fenekie's family was warm, safe, and together. When morning came, the desert looked brand new. The storm had swept the sand into fresh patterns, new dunes where old ones had been, and on the leaves of the small desert plants near the burrow entrance, tiny, sparkling dewdrops. Ooh, water! Fennec foxes don't need to drink from rivers or puddles. Their extraordinary kidneys, designed over millions of years, squeeze every drop of moisture from their food. And dew like this, forming cool in the night air, gives them everything they need. The desert provides. It always provides, if you know how to listen to it. That morning, as the sun began to warm the sand, Fenekie's ears caught something she didn't often hear in this part of the desert: human voices. She peered carefully over the top of a dune. 2 people were walking through the desert below, a grown-up and a child, cameras around their necks, following the small fox paw prints in the sand. And then the child looked up and saw her. Oh, wow! Look how cute! Can we take her home? Fenekie heard every word with her perfect ears. She sat very still on the top of the dune, and she thought. She thought about what home meant. Home was running zoomies at midnight, the fastest, most joyful sprint a Fennec fox can do, bounding across the dunes until you're dizzy with happiness. Home was digging down into the cool sand with her family, 15 different doors in and out of a world that was entirely their own. Home was the stars overhead and the desert breeze and the sound of Grandmother Fox murmuring softly at dawn. Home was being exactly what she was, in exactly the right place, perfectly, completely, magnificently. Home is here. The child below watched Fenekie for a long, quiet moment, and then something wonderful happened. The child smiled, not a sad smile, but a real, warm, understanding smile, and turned to the grown-up and said, "She belongs here, doesn't she? In her desert. Because sometimes loving something means letting it be free. Wild animals are happiest in their wild homes. The kindest, most loving thing any of us can do for a wild animal is to make sure their wild home is always there for them." In Fenekie, Fenekie celebrated the only way a Fennec fox truly can, She ran the zoomies. She leaped and bounded and spun across the golden dunes in the morning light, her ears streaming back, her grin enormous, free and wild and perfectly where she belonged. Woo! Desert zoomies! That evening, as the sun painted the sky in shades of orange and rose and gold, Fennekie's whole family gathered on the highest dune to watch the stars appear, one by one. There they all were, the tiny kits tumbling over each other, Grandmother Fox watching fondly, Mother and Father side by side, and Fenekie sitting at the very top, her great ears tilted toward the heavens. The desert whispered to her the way it always did, and Fenekie listened. Because Fenekie always listened. That was her gift. That was her superpower. And it made her the greatest desert scout the Sahara had ever known. So tonight, when you close your eyes, imagine the Sahara under its blanket of stars. Imagine the world's smallest fox curled up in her burrow, one enormous ear folded gently over her nose like a blanket. She is safe. She is loved. She is home. Good night, Fenekie. We'll be listening for you. You've been listening to the Fenekie Explorer Club. If Fennekie's story made you smile tonight, go and visit Fenekie.com. That's FENNEKIE.com, where you'll find the full storybook, Fenekie Explorer Club merchandise, including the legendary All Ears t-shirt, and a whole world of wild adventures to discover. Tell your little Fennekin to put on their imaginary explorer ears. The desert is calling. Good night, explorer.